The Dharma is the psychedelics of reality. The Dharma takes us into, right, the inner quality of reality itself so that I can actually evolve my tears. That's the evolution of tears, right? The evolution of tears, right, is my capacity to cry ecstatically by meeting the unimaginable fullness of the presence of quite literally this very moment right now. We're about the evolution of tears. And the evolution of tears means that I'm able to cry for more than I ever thought I could cry. I'm able to cry. I gain the capacity to cry tears of ecstasy for those I never thought I could cry for. I'm able to feel joy that's so much wider and so much bigger than any of the joys I thought I could feel. Can you feel that? Can you feel what it means to expand your field of the tears of joy? Right? I can actually feel joy. Who can feel that? Who can feel that? Right? I actually normally, right, as a normal separate self human being, right, I am able to cry a very narrow field of tears of joy. Right? If I win the lottery, something particularly good happens, right? I start going out with a new person, right? I get a present, right? I maybe got some, new insight if I'm particularly sensitive, right? So we cry tears of joy for a very, very narrow field. But when I actually wake up to my true identity, when I actually move from becoming merely a separate self, from being a Homo sapien who's lost in the wisdom of separation, and I become not Homo sapien, I cross to the other side. I cross to the other side. I become the new human and the new humanity. I begin to embody what it means to be the new human and the new humanity. Then I'm able to cry tears of ecstasy for much wider circles. I cry tears of ecstasy for things I see on the news, for things I read in the newspaper, for a friend that I've never met, but no one's a stranger to me. And I begin to cry tears of ecstasy for reality itself. I feel, right? I'm inspired by the chant of reality itself. I'm inspired by the pulse, the throb of a tumescent reality awake in every second. I'm always doing a kind of psychedelic journey. And in this psychedelic journey, it's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and I see dazzling images coming at me. And often, a person will do a journey, a certain kind of journey, let's say a psychedelic journey, if it's done in a kind of guided and an appropriate way. And if you take it with people who really understand deeply the path, you can actually see an incredible array, right, of reality. But then, if you really understand what's happening, because actually the medicine, right, the psychedelic medicine needs the Dharma, just like the Dharma needs the expanse of the medicine. If you really understand and you don't get lost, which is why generally, right, I don't suggest journeying, because both for the guides and the participants, it's actually quite easy to get lost because medicine doesn't work without Dharma. But if you actually find your way and you actually see this kind of dazzling cacophonies of reality, you actually realize that those dazzling cacophonies of reality are actually the true nature of the reality that you actually inhabit. That if you actually were able to visualize and to feel what actually lives between you and the next person, between you and the tree, right? Between you and the atmosphere, you would see a dazzling cacophony, right, of electromagnetic waves, right, of gravitational fluctuation, right, of particles right, of every kind and form that are moving in the space of mirror neurons, weaving webs, invisible lines of connection and intimacy every place and everywhere, you would think, oh my God. Oh my God, you would think, you would say, you'd be blown away by the rapture of the fullness around you and the unimaginable, subtle beauty of dazzling inner penetration that's actually the truth of reality right in front of you, the ecstasy of reality disclosed naked in front of you. And you would realize that actually this is the journey right now. This is the journey right now. This is the journey. Right? This is the journey. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Right? And it's so fully awake, so fully alive. And you'd be able to cry tears of ecstasy, literally, for reality itself. Okay? So the Dharma is the psychedelics of reality. The Dharma takes us into, right, the inner quality of reality itself so that I can actually evolve my tears. That's the evolution of tears, right? The evolution of tears, right, is my capacity to cry ecstatically by meeting the unimaginable fullness of the presence of quite literally this very moment right now, where I'm actually experiencing myself as being breathed by reality. I'm aware of everything happening all around me, and I experience myself as the very center of the whole thing, even as I know that you're the very center of the whole thing at the same time. So I've actually entered the field. The field has, if I can use a term from contemporary science, the field has multiple centers. We're all multiple centers of the field, and it's actually happening literally right now, this very second. So as we gather from around the world, and as you feel, right, the cables of connection, both in the exterior and the interior, right, binding us and weaving us together, as our hearts begin to beat in a synchronous beat, and we actually open our hearts, we cry. Because how could you not cry at that dazzling beauty? But we live in a world of outrageous beauty, and the only response to outrageous beauty is outrageous love, and outrageous love always cries tears of ecstasy. You know, we live in a world today where there's an enormous amount of medicine journeying. Have you noticed that? Right? Once Steve Jobs wrote in his autobiography about him actually doing medicine journeys, different forms of psychedelic journey, and actually Jobs wouldn't actually hire someone at Apple who hadn't done kind of some dimension of journeying. So journeying went from the fringes to the center of culture. The problem with journeying is that by itself, it can be neutral and even dangerous. Right? Neutral meaning when you go inside, depending on what kind of plant, right, you're on, what kind of ride you're on, right, that ride inside doesn't work. It doesn't get you home without Dharma, right? Medicine needs Dharma, right? And Dharma needs medicine, and Dharma needs medicine means Dharma means yoga. Dharma needs yoga, and yoga can be prayer, and yoga can be chant, and yoga can be meditation, and yoga can be writing, sacred writing. Aurobindo's great yoga, great medicine was he wrote, right? And yoga can be actually an occasional journey, right, with medicine, right? But Dharma needs yoga, yoga needs Dharma, Dharma needs medicine, medicine needs Dharma. You can't do psychedelics, right, or any other kind of yogic practice without Dharma, because then it becomes a kind of cultivation of a state experience, and that state experience by itself is neutral. There's a reason why there were not a few practiced Zen monks as kamikaze pilots for Japan, right, in World War II. They had cultivated their journeys, their medicine journeys, their state experiences. But if those state experiences are not mediated through the Dharma, through an understanding of the Amorous Cosmos, of the Amorous Cosmos that lives in me, right, through first principles, right, and first values, then the medicine becomes poison. The medicine even can become a lake of poison, right? And at the same time, the Dharma always needs the yoga. It means the Dharma always needs to be alive. I always need to feel it in my spirit, in my soul, in my body. Otherwise, the Dharma gradually ossifies, it gradually petrifies, it becomes scary, the Dharma becomes dogma, right? So the Dharma needs the medicine needs the Dharma.